Alrighty, for this second part of the test, TEK 10b says that we need to be able to multiply binomials, and we're going to do that by either double distribution or everybody's favorite, FOIL. FOIL stands for first terms, outer terms, inner terms, and then the last terms. After we multiply, then we need to write them in standard form if they are not. Remember that standard form means that they need to be in order from the highest power to the lowest power. So here we go. For number 11, w plus 1 times w plus 12. So I'm going to use FOIL. So I'm going to multiply the first terms, so w times w, and that's going to be w squared. And then the outer terms, so w times 12 is going to be 12w. Having trouble writing here. 12w. And then the inner terms, so 1 times w is just going to be 1w. And then the last terms, that means the last term of the first binomial, so the 1, times the last term of the second binomial, which is 12. So 1 times 12 is just 12. Now that I have everything multiplied, I need to look at it and make sure that I have combined everything that can be combined, and then make sure that it is in standard form. So when I look at this, I notice that these w's can be combined. So I'm going to end up with w squared, and then 12w plus w is 13w, and then plus 12. So the powers are in decreasing order. I have w squared and then a w and then no w at all, and nothing else can be combined. So this is the answer to number 11. So number 12, we have again two binomials, and we're going to multiply them together. When we multiply, we need to make sure that we multiply each term of the first binomial by each term of the second binomial. And one way we can do that is to use FOIL. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply t times t. So f in FOIL is the first term of each of my binomials. So t times t is t squared. The second thing I'm going to do is multiply the outer terms. So t times negative 3 is going to be negative 3t. Go back, and we're going to multiply the inner terms. So 9 times t is 9t. And then the last terms. So 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. Okay, we have multiplied everything in the first binomial times everything in the second binomial. So now all that's left is to combine things that can be combined, like these t's. So t squared stays t squared. There's no other t squared to go with it. And then negative 3 and a positive 9 is a positive 6t. And then minus 27. There we go. That's the answer to number 12. Number 13 is the same as numbers 11 and 12 in that I have two binomials, and I'm going to multiply them by each other. The way that it's different is that first term, instead of just being a variable by itself, now I have a coefficient in front of it. So for example, 2d or 3d. Okay, but our rules are the same. You guys have multiplied things like this before, so we're going to use those same rules, and we're just going to apply FOIL. So first term, 2d times the first term of the second binomial. So 2d times 3d is 6d squared. So that was the first. Now the outer terms, 2d times negative 6 is negative 12d. Now the inner terms, 5 times 3d is positive 15d. And then the last terms. So 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. Okay, I'm going to go back and combine things that can be combined. And I'm left with 6d squared plus 3d minus 30. So number 14, y plus 5 times y minus 5. When I look at these, I notice that they're the same except for one is a positive 5 and one is a negative 5. So when we have that situation, something kind of cool happens at the end. But I can still apply FOIL, and then you guys can see what happens when I simplify at the end, something kind of cool. So first term is y times y, which is y squared. And outer terms, so y times negative 5 is minus 5y. Inner terms, 5 times y is positive 5y. Whoops, pen's going crazy here. And then the last terms, 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. So we do all the same steps. We do FOIL, and then we go back and we combine things that can be combined. But when I look at this, I notice that negative 5y plus 5y cancels out. It makes 0. So all that's left is y squared minus 25. There is no middle term. Kind of cool. And that happened because of the plus 5 and the minus 5. They canceled each other out. Number 15, s minus 3 squared. So this is a little different than the ones I've done up till now, in that it's not a binomial times a binomial. The way the problem's given to me, it's s minus 3 squared. So I just need to remember that anytime I square something, it's that times itself. So s minus 3 times s minus 3. Now that looks familiar, and so now I can go ahead and do FOIL. So s times s is s squared. Sorry, those are s's, not 5's. And then s times negative 3 is negative 3s. Now the inner, negative 3 times s is going to be negative 3s. And the last terms, so negative 3 times negative 3 is going to be positive 9. Go back and combine things that can go together. So s squared, and then negative 3s minus 3s is going to be a negative 6s plus 9. There we go. Number 16, k minus 3 times 2k minus 7. When I look at this, I notice that k in the first binomial has a coefficient of 1, and the second binomial, k has a coefficient of 2. So I've kind of got one of each different kind there, but I apply FOIL the same way. So I'm going to do first, outer, inner, last. So here we go. K times 2k is 2k squared. Now the outer terms, k times negative 7 is minus 7k. Inner terms, negative 3 times 2k is going to be negative 6k. And the last terms are negative 3 times negative 7, which would be a positive 21. Combine things that can go together. So negative 7k and negative 6k can go together. Let's see, so 2k squared stays the same. Negative 7 and negative 6 is negative 13k plus 21. And there we go. Number 17, I have 2x plus 3 times 4x cubed minus 5x squared minus 8. So this is a little bit different in that I have a binomial times a trinomial, but it's going to be the same in that I have to multiply each term in my binomial times every term in the trinomial. So I cannot use FOIL per se because first, outer, inner, last, I think I might forget, I might leave a term out. So I'm just going to make sure to use double distribution. I'm going to take the 2x times everything and then the 3 times everything and then combine terms that can be combined. So let's see, I'm going to do 2x times 4x cubed. So 2 times 4 is 8, and x times x cubed is x to the 4th. Now I'm going to go back to 2x times negative 5x squared. So 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Negative 10, there we go. And x times x squared is x to the 3rd power. Now 2x times negative 8. So 2 times negative 8 is negative 16, and I just have 1x. So I have multiplied 2x times everything in that second term. I'm just going to grab a different color. Here we go. So now I'm going to do the 3. It's a positive 3 times 4x cubed. So 3 times 4 is positive 12. And x cubed. Now I'm going to run out of room, so I'm just going to make a second line down here. 3 times negative 5x squared. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15 x squared. And then 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. Okay, so I did 2x times everything, and then I did 3 times everything. I'm going to go back now and combine things that can go together. So I'm going to do that in green. So I look at 8x to the 4th. I do not notice any other x to the 4ths, so I'm just going to write 8x to the 4th in my answer. I can't do anything else with that. Now I have negative 10x cubed, and I notice here's a 12x cubed, so I'm going to put those two together. Negative 10 and positive 12 is a positive 2x to the 3rd. So I'm done with that. I don't notice any other, right here, the plain old x to the 1st power, there aren't any, so minus 16x. And then that looks like everything else is also by itself, so minus 15x squared minus 24. Okay, now we do want to write these in standard form, and I started off good, but this 16x and this negative 16x and the negative 15x squared, those guys should be flipped around if we want to put it in standard form. So here's my standard form. 8x to the 4th plus 2x cubed minus 15x squared, there we go, minus 16x minus 24. So now I have them all in order, decreasing powers. Number 18 is an application of multiplying binomials and multiplying trinomials, and they're describing a rectangle. So it says a rectangle has a length of 4x plus 5 and a width of x minus 3. Write an expression to represent the area of the rectangle. Okay, we've got two things going on here. First thing is they told us it's a rectangle, and then we want to find the area, and they're also telling us actually the length is 4x plus 5 and the width is x minus 3. So the first thing I would do is to draw that rectangle. Just sketch one, it doesn't have to be perfect, and one side is going to be 4x plus 5 and the other side is going to be x minus 3. And we want an expression that represents the area. Well, to find area, you're just going to multiply the length times the width. So I'm going to multiply 4x plus 5 times x minus 3. And you guys know how to do that. We're going to do FOIL. So 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times negative 3 is negative 12x. Now the inner, 5 times x is 5x. And the last terms, 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Now you can go ahead and combine things that can go together, and you're going to get 4x squared. So 4x squared. These guys can be combined, so negative 12 and positive 5 is negative 7x minus 15. So that expression represents the area of my rectangle. That's that. And that concludes the reteach or the corrections part of your test. Remember that after you do corrections, you also need in the column right next to your corrected work, explain why you missed that problem or what you did not understand. The next step would be to go do the extra practice, which will be posted on Google Classroom, so wait for that posting. And then after you have done corrections and completed your extra practice and checked them, the next step would be to take your retest. If you have any questions in between any of that, or you still need extra help, maybe the video wasn't quite what you needed, then you need to come in for extra help. Come for tutoring in the morning, before school, after school, or at lunch. Just get with me or Miss Tanner and set up a time. All right, see you soon.